So we're gonna go ahead and get started. You ready to rock, Susie?
I am. Do I have co-hosting abilities?
You can have them. They will be given to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You got that, Laura, or do you need assistance from me?
She can record a co-host. I'm still working on why that isn't transferring over, but you can record and
I
share.
just I just did it.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So we are Laura, we are recording. Okay. Welcome to your book's ROI formula. That is sort of a formal way of saying let's talk about book sales and return on investment in a different way. We want to talk about it in a different way. So none of the usual suspects here in terms of thinking about book ROI. I am co-hosting this webinar with Susie deVille, who is the author of Buoyant. Susie, do you want to just share a little bit about yourself? Laura is also going to add bios to the chat just to streamline that. But do you want to share a
Sure.
little bit, Susie?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. I'm Susie deVille. I am the founder and CEO of the Innovation and Creativity Institute, and I help creators, writers, visionary leaders, and entrepreneurs tap into their innate creativity, home in on who they truly are, and unlock their entrepreneurial potential. And I'm delighted to be here today.
Yeah. I'm AJ Harper. Again, Laura will put our bios in the chat. And but I help authors write must-read books. And I've over time also discovered that what I really do beyond that is help authors stay in it. And you're going to hear a lot about that today because there are many points when an author gives up on their book. We think of it as when we're writing or when they go to get it published. But what we're talking about today is after it's published. There's many stages of giving up on a book after it's published, and we don't want you to ever do that. So today we're talking about the ROI formula. I want to introduce Laura Stone. She is a Dean of Students for the Top 3 Book Workshop community, an author herself, and she is here to support you. If you want to send me a DM or Susie a DM, send it to Laura instead. Susie and I are teaching today. And Laura is providing support today. So if you have a technical question or logistics question, please give it to Laura, or you can just put it straight in the chat. You don't have to DM her directly. This is being recorded and we will make the recording available to you. So if you want to just sit back and listen and you don't want to take notes right now, that is completely fine. So we're going to start out, we're just going to dig in immediately because we have a lot to cover today. I do want to point out that our goal today is to shift your perspective and give you some value. We also want to share an opportunity with you a little bit later, and we will also do a Q&A so you can ask us questions. So I just want to manage your expectations about that. We're going to go ahead and get started unless there's anything you wanted to share, Susie,
Nope.
beyond that. No?
Ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to share screen. I made you some, I made you some slides today just for easier comprehension. I love a slide. All right, so here's Susie, here's me. Just so we're clear, what we're about to share today is for published and soon to be published authors. What we've learned in our time exploring this topic together, Susie and I, for about 9 months now, actually, is that uh, everyone wants to hear about this. Authors who are about to publish, authors who have published. Uh, as you saw from the bios, these are our books. I've written a lot more books than this. Some of them with Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, and some of them with people I can't name. This is Susie's book, Buoyant. She's also a top 3 book workshop alum. I'm so proud to always say that. But I just want to tell you that I don't think that there's an entrepreneurial book that is more of a game changer for me personally than this. And I write books for entrepreneurs. So keep that in mind. Okay, that's my praise for Buoyant. We're gonna do a little activity. Okay, so you're gonna answer a question for me. How many books do you want to sell? What's your goal? And this is across all formats. So that means print, hardcover, paperback, ebook, audiobook. All right. And I'm going to tell you, I want 3 numbers. Don't put them in the chat yet. Just drop them down yourself. Okay. Do not put them in the chat. I want 3 numbers. Number 1, pie in the sky, meaning my fantasy came true. All my author dreams came true. This is how many books I sold. Well, then we want the reasonable goal. Okay, I think this is a reasonable expectation for book sales. And finally, bare minimum. I must sell this. This is the absolute bare minimum where I feel like I can hang my head high or at least not feel like I failed. Okay, pie in the sky, reasonable, bare minimum. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. It's lifetime goals, Amy, to answer your question. And it's for one title, y'all, not for your whole catalog. Okay, thanks, Lisa. We're gonna wait on sharing them in the chat. And okay, everybody, let's wait on sharing them in the chat. Okay, so now what I want you to do is everybody just put in your pie in the sky goal. All I want to see is pie in the sky. 10,000, 20K, 5K, 1 million. All right, Carol. 100,000, 100,000, 2 million KP. All right. 50, Linda, Nikki, 25K. Okay. 1 million for Catherine. Great. Let's do reasonable. Laura, can you put a marker for reasonable just in the chat? 1,000, 2.5, 75, 10, 5, 10, 7,500, 10. Okay. 2, 5. Okay. All right. One more marker. Let's do bare minimum. Thank you, Lori. She's always 2 steps ahead of me. 2, 500, 10, 2, 2, 2. Okay. 1, 100. All right, Lisa. That's so doable. Okay. So this exercise, I've done this in live groups quite a lot. You notice that there's the goal, y'all are putting some of your numbers are similar from different categories, right? What is reasonable to one person might seem bare minimum to another, right? Pie in the sky, you all seem to be way across the board on that. What we know from this exercise is that nobody really knows. Nobody really knows how to set these sales goals. Just put in the chat for me how you came up with these numbers. Yeah, I see your face, Amy. Like, oh, I don't know. Wild guess. Yeah, good. Okay. Random guessing. Pulled them. Yep, I knew. Pulled them out of your, you know what? I knew it. Raw quesos. Taglines, 1 million books sold. Okay, that's a good reason. But mostly it is really no idea is what's common, right? So here's a challenge. The numbers that you're setting are not actually specific to your book. They're arbitrary. You just pulling them out of your you know what, random guessing, right? Hearing what other people say, but it's not specific to your own book. Therefore, you don't know what it's going to take to get those sales numbers. So you're setting a goal that's not based in anything to do with your book or any reality about your goal, about yourself, your target market. And so then when you inevitably don't reach that exact number, which some of you will be super lucky and it'll just happen, right? Let me tell you what I mean by some of you, like one tiny minuscule percentage will actually just hit it and won't know. But I would guarantee you, if you ask a bunch of authors who've hit really huge goals, often they'll say, you know, because luck is a huge factor. So setting arbitrary numbers is harmful because, again, it's not specific to your book. You don't know what it takes to get those numbers, so that when you don't hit the numbers, you use it as evidence that maybe your book isn't good, or you don't have what it takes to market it. It's good, but you don't have what it takes to market it. And either way, you probably shouldn't have bothered in the first place, or you're just happy you did it. You're happy a few people read it. It's been a good boost to your bio, and you're good, and you're moving on with your life to the next thing. You're moving on to the next thing. This work of art that you created and climbed several mountains to complete, you're going to move on to the next thing. So this is when people either shift to mentioning that the book exists rather than getting people to actually read it, right? So it's a bio item. It's an incidental thing. It's something that comes free with purchase, right? Or worse, this is when people give up on it entirely. I was buying a bunch of books for authors I've worked with, or sorry, that authors I've worked with have written, at Honest Dog Books in Bayfield, Wisconsin, because I wanted all my student books to be on my shelves there, and I wanted to support my students and buy their books again, and also support the local bookstore. And there were 4 books that they couldn't get. They had to hunt them down and used because they were no longer easy to access. And I don't even think the authors knew that. So I had to message them and tell them. That means that this is not active, right? They're not actively promoting that book, or they would absolutely know that. This is why having arbitrary book sales can be harmful. And this is why we need custom sales goals rooted in our own reality, the target markets that we will serve, and our own interest and desire in promoting it, as well as our own resources. So let's talk about the facilitator's formula. This is the name I'm giving it today. Have been actually a few months. It might change. I created this formula to solve this mystery of how do you figure out book sales? And honestly, I did it for myself because I'm not motivated by money. And in order for me to figure out how to sell my own book, I had to find a way to care about it, quite frankly. And then also I like a strategy that's rooted in reality. It's just how my brain works. Is that how your brain works, Susie? That you want to understand? Yeah, okay. Susie is to me the most grounded artist I know. Seriously, just very you come up with the most wild, fascinating, compelling stuff, but you're very rooted and grounded. So I'm not surprised that this would also appeal to you. So I created this for myself. I'm going to teach it to you. It's super simple. The application is not as simple, okay? But the formula is simple. All right. So you're going to answer 2 questions now. And you don't have to put them in the chat. I want you to jot this down for yourself. I know some of my students are here and they've answered this question before. So if you've done that, just answer it again. Use this as a chance to refine. What is the change you want to see in the world through your book? So because your book exists, what change do you hope happens? That's number 1. And then who can help you facilitate that change? By who, I'm talking about groups of people. So let me give you, facilitators are people who also serve your reader. They may be secondary or tertiary readers. They may also not even be your readers. If you've done a book proposal, you know that your secondary and tertiary readers are people who will also purchase your book. They might have an interest in reading it, or they might purchase it for others. So for example, if you had a book about what to do after graduation, a secondary reader might be parents or grandparents They might not read that book, but they're going to gift it to the kid. The kid is the primary reader. See where I'm going with that? I want you to think as far out as you can into other professions. I want to give you an example too. This is Mara Yale. She is, I have her permission to share this with you. This is her change she wants to see in the world. I want parents of kids with neurodevelopmental challenges to feel supported and to act on behalf of their children and themselves. Here are just a few sample facilitators from Marielle's book. Primary readers, parents. Secondary and tertiary, pediatricians, physical therapists, other clinicians. You could keep going down that list of different types of clinicians. Teachers, other educators, then you would break that list down. Counselors. And then even pulling out further, the actual schools that are educating these people, the associations that are supporting those people. That's what I'm talking about facilitators. These are groups of people and organizations that can help you facilitate the change you want to see in the world. Then you do the math. I'm terrible at math, so I promise this is very, very simple. For each facilitator category, you're going to determine the total number of people in that group. So how do you do that? Google, go to an association's website. If you are using AI, you could probably pull it up there. So we're not looking for exact numbers, okay? We're not trying to get, nobody's assessing this to see if your numbers are completely off base. But you can generally find how many pediatricians are there in the US or North America, depending on your market. Then determine 0.05% of that number. I'm going with half of the accepted conversion rate of 1% because I'm a conservative person. So I want to go with 0.5%. Then total up all your numbers and you have a custom sales goal rooted in the transformation you want to provide and the service that you want to provide. These sales numbers are not for the year. They're not for 6 months. They're for 5 to 10 years. And that's a major shift I want you to make today. If you make no other shift today, please know that the expectations that you have for yourself are probably short-sighted. And that's not because you are short-sighted. It's because in our industry, we don't explain to authors that when we put a book out into the world, this is a big time commitment. And the time commitment is also in the years after which the book is published. Most authors are not actively promoting their book within after the first year. It's what I see. They're with the occasional mention. So this is a 5 to 10 year. I hope it's 10. I like to say set the 5, then set another 5. I'm going to say keep setting the 5 personally. But if I could get y'all to just commit to 10, this would be a major game changer. We're looking for perennial bestsellers. Then you're going to create a marketing strategy for each category. This is where we go wrong, is we try and market our book and we spread seeds to the wind. Spread seeds to the wind. And we need to spread some seeds. We need to throw them out there for a primary reader to find it. We need to do a lot of different things that book marketing requires, but where we really mess up, and not of our own doing, we just don't know better. Where we mess up is we don't realize that these facilitators need a different kind of marketing. And they might also need you to go find them as opposed to throwing the seeds and hoping that the seeds find them. You have to go actively talk to them, figure out how you can connect with them, how you can work with them so that they can go spread seeds for you, so that they can facilitate actually getting your book into readers' hands, into primary readers' hands. Yes, the facilitators might also buy it, but what we're trying to get them to do is facilitate more primary readers finding you. and buying your book. What you do is you roll out one category at a time while still selling to your primary readers. This may seem overwhelming at first, but if you just tell yourself, I'm going to try and tackle one category for 6 months and see if I can work on that. So if it was Mara, she might, okay, let me tackle pediatricians. I'm still selling to parents. I'm still doing the things I need to do there, but recognizing that my network is going to be tapped out at some point. And recognizing that books are still sold by word of mouth, which means the more people I get reading my book, the more people I have talking about it. Then I need to actually go out. I need to go forge new relationships. I need to find a way to sell to pediatricians or to get pediatricians to communicate with me so that they can sell to the primary reader, which are parents. And I need to brainstorm that. I'm going to let myself do that for 6 months until I can find a good strategy that works that I can keep rolling out. Then once I have that on lock, I'm going to try another one. And this is why this formula works, because A, it's rooted in the service, the change that you want to see in the world. They also care about that change, and it's specific to them. I see a hand up for questions. We're going to do questions at the end, Nikki, so save your questions. You can also put questions in the chat, and Laura will keep track of them for us. This is an organized way to think about marketing your book over many years. You're not doing all of it at once. It helps to keep your book alive, help you keep interest in your book, help you expand your readership, and it's rooted in reality. It's not rooted in what this other person did or what the industry says or some arbitrary numbers. It's rooted in, I understand where this number comes from, and I understand what I need to do about it. So this formula also helps you create additional ROI for your book. Speaking, education, classes, workshops, training, courses, consulting, sponsorship, lead gen, the list is long. And we hear about this stuff all the time. That the real ROI from at least nonfiction books is in the money that you can generate from readers. But I want to just impress something to you. The more readers you have, the more this other ROI happens. To me, this is total logic, and we forget that part. We can't overlook the actual book sales part because we need people to buy and read our books so that this other ROI can happen. So I do want you to think about ROI in terms of book sales itself. I don't want you to have the mindset of, I'm not going to make any royalties from this book or any net revenue from this book. I really hope you are, because that way of thinking inhibits you from doing the rest of this stuff. So yes, you are going to up-level your profile, get speaking engagements, increase your fees, enroll people in things for sure, just by having the book. But it will be exponentially greater if more people are actually reading it. So we have to care about both types of ROI. But the facilitator formula helps you break down different markets for all this other stuff too. So those pediatricians, maybe they need a training course about how to better work with parents of children who have neurodevelopmental challenges. Maybe they need private consulting. Maybe you need to do maybe you're going to give a keynote and then you're going to speak to all these different clinicians. I don't know. It depends on what you want to do, but this formula can also help you break that down for yourself. Now we're dealing with really specific groups with really specific needs. And every time we're specific, it is much easier for us to market to them. So that is the overview of the formula. I'll take questions on that in a moment, and I want to kick things over to Susie now, who's going to build on what we just talked about.
I love it, love it, love it. What I am going to take you through is a little fun exercise. No art skills required. So if you can get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, what I'd like for you to do is just put a nice big circle in the middle of the paper. And then we're going to make something that looks like petals. Again, no art skills required. We just want 4 of these petals. So you're going to have something that looks like this. And then I want you to put numbers. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's a 2 down there at the bottom. Okay. Everybody ready? So for this top petal, what we're going to put in here is a question. What am I desperate for people to know? What am I desperate for people to know? And you get 1 sentence to answer that. This process that we're going through is a way to get a really quick sort of leaping over your inner critic, inner censor, going right into your intuition as to really with whom you want to connect and how. Leaping off of what AJ just taught us with the formula. Number 2, who specifically needs to hear this? And we're not going to answer these yet. We're just going to fill in our flower real quick. Who specifically needs to hear this? Number 3, and I'm going to put these in the chat. What kinds of experiences, and this is beyond the book, so not the book, but what else are the best ways to help my ideal client / reader learn this? What kinds of experiences beyond the book are the best ways to help my ideal clients / readers learn this? And number 4, what are the ways I love to teach, create, work with clients, etc.? Okay. So these are all going in the chat. And then the middle part is, where do 3 and 4 intersect? So let me take you through just a quick example. What am I desperate for people to know? For me, that is the ultimate skeleton key is for success and freedom is tapping into your innate creativity. I'm truly desperate for people to know that. Number 2, who specifically needs to hear this? This is entrepreneurs and creators, also visionary leaders who are stuck, riddled with self-doubt, who believe that more work, more productivity is the answer. What kinds of experiences are the best ways to help them? So beyond the book, it could be speeches, it could be coaching, it could be retreats, it could be master classes, it could be high-end adventures overseas. And number 4, What are the ways I love to teach, create, work with clients, etc.? My favorites are probably my certification program, as well as my master classes and my VIP coaching, which are adventures in Europe, etc. And then where do those two things, where do 3 and 4 intersect? While I enjoy speaking, I enjoy more the opportunity to do VIP coaching or retreats or master classes. So, what is important here is that we list all the different things that we know would be helpful for our ideal reader and client. Then here we remember what we love, what brings us alive, what we're naturally gifted to do, what we just come alive with excitement and passion when we think about creating something like this. And then we put in the middle really what our sort of narrowed down starting point would be. It's tempting to list 25 things and try to do 25 things. That is a surefire way to overwhelm yourself and then self-sabotage and say, I can't do any of it, which I've done, by the way. So get very clear on what it is that you love, that you know is going to help your folks learn and enjoy the transformation that they are seeking. When you get that clear, you put it here. Let me stop here and just see if anyone needs translations on the chicken scratch before I go on. Are we good? Okay. So let me show you, and this is a really fun exercise to do, and do it quickly so that you're not ruminating over here or getting all hung up in the weeds over here. I want to take you now to an example. I want to show you how I have done this myself. This is always a work in progress. Always, always, always. I have free things. I have a blog and I have a podcast. I also have an opt-in, which will pop up. That's a toolkit that's free. And it has all kinds of sort of little tastes of the kinds of things that I teach, so that people have kind of like a little poo-poo platter of what I do. Then I have a page for the book. It's the whole, it's just totally dedicated to the book. Over here is where you can start to learn about how to work with me. And that's as simple as a 6-week masterclass, to private coaching, to VIP coaching, all the way to a coaching certification program. This, I want to just kind of be clear, is a result of many years of experimentation. I didn't start understanding what I wanted to offer beyond coaching. I did a lot of trial and error. And I learned what was a hell yes for me and what was also a hell yes for my clients. And I put those two things together in my offers. So I think that the moral of the story here is to get paper out and to map things out, walk around the yard, talk to the dog. You have to kind of dig in to what really resonates with you in terms of what you think you want to do in terms of extending your brand. There are constantly new ways to do this. And so you don't, if something doesn't work, just move on, try something else. I have had programs that just were gangbuster successful and some that were crickets chirping. And you just don't know until you try. But what is on the other side of this fun experimentation is the development of a brand and a platform that will totally blow your own mind because it starts to create its own gravy. It will start to make its own flywheel of momentum and energy, and it will build more readers. More readers will build more platform, more opportunities to work with people, which builds more readers. And it's a beautiful synergistic process. The last thing that I want to convey to you here is don't overcomplicate. Keep it very simple, test some things, and then expand slowly. All right, Miss AJ.
Okay, so listen, I wanted you to have a little taste of Susie, and that's just a tiny taste. The thing is, what I've witnessed in 20 years in publishing, I'm gonna have to up that number soon. In 20 years in publishing, I've noticed that two things are happening with authors. Authors do not have the information they need. Most of it is being withheld from them, not because people are bad, but because the publishing industry is not transparent. They're horrible communicators. They're not interested in being better communicators. And unless you've been in publishing a really long time and in the right rooms, you might not actually know some of this stuff. Publishing is separated into silos of different publishing paths, and usually the people know that path really well, but not the whole ecosystem. And so this puts authors at a distinct disadvantage. So there's just the knowledge and strategy piece that people are missing. And so they default to these arbitrary numbers, arbitrary solutions, arbitrary marketing plans that are not getting traction or limited traction. Then over here, we have all of the stuff that's in our heart, all of the stuff that's in our soul. And we tend to, because we're focused on this arbitrary stuff, because we just don't know any other way to be, that's the default. We're not actually listening to, this is what lights me up. I love what Susie said. You'll build a platform that blows your own mind. It blows your own mind, meaning it feeds you. You're excited. You love it. We're missing both. We're missing both. We need this strategy and inside knowledge, and we need to understand what lights us up and market from a place of energy and joy and spark and the reason we decided to do the book in the first place. All that energy is drained out of us. So I approached Susie last fall out of a point of frustration. And Laura's familiar with this point of frustration because I see so many beautiful books that I know authors fight to get done and fight to get published, just die on the vine, just die right there on the vine. And I want to solve that. I want to fix that. I am on a mission to help authors stay in this game long enough for their books to catch fire and do the things that they need to do. And I thought, what if Susie and I teamed up? So she was gracious enough to listen to my wild ramblings. Probably she's the best person to listen to my wild ramblings because she'll just be like, okay, but what if we also this? So we've been working on this for a number of months. I want to show this to you, and then we're going to do a Q&A and answer your questions about anything related to what we've talked about or book marketing in general. So I'm going to go ahead and share again with you. So Susie and I have been working for about 9 months on a virtual retreat called Beyond or Before, meaning you can come to us if you're published or about to be published, or even just thinking, how am I going to do this thing? And you don't even have a book yet. Beyond or before the launch, igniting the momentum for your book's success. This is in September. I want to give you a little retreat breakdown. It's a combination of this insider knowledge and strategy that I've developed over the years, including that formula and many other things. But all of Susie's wild, tapped in, gorgeous exercises that also help us make sure we're coming from a place of alignment and joy. So we're going to debunk the book launch myths and reframe experience. What really happens in a book launch, what to expect. We're going to work through realistic sales goals, strategies. And then really important, I'm going to share some stuff that I am certain no one has told you. And it's the reason I'm certain is because every time I share it, people look at me like I have three heads. Why didn't anybody tell me this stuff? This is stuff that even my authors who come out of workshop and get significant deals, which FYI is about $500,000, advances, still no one told them. You would think it would be in a publisher's best interest to explain these things, considering the money they put on the line, but they just don't. So I'm going to share that information with you. This is stuff that would absolutely change the trajectory of your book and your career if you knew it. Then we're going to move on to creating the vision for your book sales, a long-term vision. Remember, we talked 5, 10 years, preferably 10, so that you can really start to see, all right, let me see a long-term vision that makes sense for me, that's doable. How to align your goals with realistic, energizing timeline that works for you. That's important to me. I have a lot of irons in the fire. I can't do all these things at the same time, but I can do them over time, not at the same time, but over time. And then you just learned the beginning of my facilitator formula today. I hope you take that away with you and use it. I will expand on that to show you how to actually start implementing that into something that you can test and then roll out, test, roll out, test, roll out. Then we're going to talk about remembering your why, intentions, and painting your timeline and working those sales goals that you just created into the timeline. This is Susie's jam, reconnecting with the heart of your work, your deeper why. This is making sure that your goals align with your timeline. And this is where purpose meets planning, where you integrate those sales goals into a creative, doable timeline that supports your vision. This I'm so excited about. Susie and I bonded over a love of Kandinsky, the painter. So this is about understanding the marketing tree, because it's not one thing or one significant strategy. What a book marketing strategy requires many different branches on the tree. Then we'll go deeper into that with clarifying your top 3 marketing buckets, the channels that feel most like you. This is where Susie really shines in helping you feel like this is the part I want to do. So I see this big tree. I don't have to do every single thing. Let me pick the things that make sense to me and also make sense to my readers. And Susie, why don't you take this one where you talk about overcoming limiting beliefs?
So, the very first thing that our brains love to do right after we set a big vision, have our goals, and we're all excited, the brain loves to come in and say, not so much. Let me give you some scarcity and some survival thoughts instead of tapping into your creativity. Because anytime we're about to do something new, the brain just wants to protect us. So, what we have to learn are some skills to champion and master our mindset, regardless of what we're venturing into. Whether we're growing by leaps and bounds or we're doing the same thing that we did yesterday, the mind will continue to bring things and thoughts to the fore that can throw us off if we're not aware, if we're not a great observer of our thoughts, and if we don't have the tools to turn those thoughts and limiting beliefs into something that actually empowers us and gives us momentum. So we have a really fun section in the retreat that will not only help you champion your work as an author, as a coach, as a leader, as a creator, whatever your platform looks like, you will have tools that will serve you through your book publishing process, through your marketing, and throughout your personal life. And we're going to get at this through learning how to not only master our mindset, but also become a champion of optimizing our energy and doing that instead of what we're taught to do by our culture, which is to manage and optimize time. So fun, fun, fun section.
Yeah. In other words, fun, fun, fun. That leads to managing your energy. I'm personally fascinated by this because I am old school with just trying to get fit more time in my day or be more productive. And the more I think about what Susie teaches us about energy as it relates to what lights us up, the more I do that, the more that honestly, the happier I am, but also the more productive I am. Then we're going to do, this is all Susie, y'all, the Wild of You abstract painting. No art experience required. Believe me, I'm not a good visual artist. I still do all of Susie's stuff. It's great fun. This is about accessing the nonlinear wisdom that lives beyond the strategy. So this is a good balance, this retreat of knowledge, strategy, and joy and spark. And then we're going to into the nitty gritty, y'all. We're going to do an action plan and put it all together. I want you to walk away with a plan that works for you, not something that's cookie cutter or set on those arbitrary goals, but that's very specific to you and that one that you can implement based on your own resources, your own energy, your own interests. It doesn't do you any good to get a whole bunch of ideas from other people that may or may not be fruitful for you. So this is about creating your own custom plan and then creating an artful map of that plan, which will be a super fun activity that Susie will walk us through. It's a new way of looking at it. So I want to just point out it's September 25th, 26th, and 27th. It's 2.5 days, not 3 full days. We'll be virtual on Zoom. We'll record everything, and you'll have access to that recording for a full year. The cost is $6,500. It is much less than it would cost you to have a custom marketing plan created by a book launch coordinator who doesn't understand all of the things she or he needs to understand about the industry. So this is definitely a bargain. And we also have an early bird rate through August 15th, which is a discount of $1,500. And our early bird goodies are so good. I don't off the stuff I'm offering, I don't offer any other place. Like, this is the only place. Susie's sexy treat is not, don't take that literally. It's it's what Susie thinks is sexy, so that's, related to some sort of tangible, cool thing that you can hold in your hand, but it's not actually yeah. It's what she thinks what she thinks is a sexy treat. Probably art related, probably supplies related. Here's the thing I don't offer anywhere else. I'm going to audit your current book listings and website for book sales optimization. This is becoming increasingly important with what is called GEO, generative engine optimization, which unfortunately AI is mucking things up. And so we actually have to change the way we are optimizing our websites for that. And also there's a lot we have to do with our web page, or sorry, our book sales optimization on retailer sites. And even if you don't have a book yet, knowing this stuff will help you avoid those mistakes. Then we're going to do a follow-up group call for all our early birds, a 45-minute call to brainstorm and strategize after you've done with the retreat and you had a chance to think it through a little bit more and you might have additional questions. This one's this one's really, really good. This is a 30-minute one-on-one with Sade Amherd. She's my marketing coordinator. She's been doing one-on-ones with students up at my editing retreats, and it has been amazing. She is going to be helping you refine your plan and focus on what works for you. She is Gen Z, you all. She has a whole another level of understanding of marketing. And then a free ticket to Susie's masterclass, Journaling Without Words, which is August 13th. You always want to get a ticket to any of Susie's masterclasses. All right. So now I want to open up to questions. If you have questions about the retreat, or if you have questions about my formula, or what the Susie's exercise that she did, or any sort of book marketing question you have, we are happy to talk to you about your questions. If you want to, oh, Nikki, good. I'm glad it's perfect timeline. All right, Nikki, you had a question.
Uh, I had one earlier. Let me see if I can find it again. I put it in chat so I wouldn't forget. And I've forgotten it. Susie, can you put the link to your website, the innovation website, into the chat so I can
Sure.
click on that?
Absolutely.
Geez, okay. It was before you started talking. No.
You want us to come back to you, Nikki?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Sorry. This strategy that you were talking about earlier is rolled out over several years. Like, I'm not brainstorming 6 months in advance right now. I mean, I'm brainstorming for one section of the marketing strategy now, but then continue this for at least 5 years, correct?
So
The
we have,
new,
yeah. So there's some standard things that everyone needs to do with their book marketing and that help you reach primary readers. And then there's additional work that you need to do with these different groups. And this is a multi-year plan. So there's
okay,
a
thank you.
difference between what do you do at the time of launch and what do you do after, and we'll be covering both of those things. Other questions about the facilitators or thinking about ROI? Any little book marketing questions you might have now while you have the chance to ask us about it? Cynthia?
I have a question. S- and just so you know a little bit about me, I wrote a book through and published it with Page Two
Mm,
about 6 months ago. It's called Shine On, Raising Our Kids with Disabilities to Lead Bright, Happy Lives. And so actually the example you showed,
right.
I was like, well, there we go. That's mine too. Um, but I also in my journey of writing this book was sent your book, AJ's book on how to write a must read, which was transformational in that process. So now I'm thinking like, is this coming along at the absolute best time? I'm 6 months into this and not, oh, I I'm not feeling really great about it. And one thing, when you look up all the ways to market books, high on the list is always social media. And so I'm wondering, just with these couple of exercises we've just gone through with you and Susie, if it comes out that social media is not my favorite thing, it, I'm much more of a writer. I'm a speaker, that kind of thing. And social media is dragging me down.
Mm,
It's for me, it's just not my favorite way to communicate.
okay.
Um, Me of a certain generation. So are you saying to kind of go with your strengths on this as opposed to just following what artificial intelligence is telling me what to do or others?
I think you need to create a plan that works for you. I think you need to create a plan that fits what you enjoy and what lights you up. And I don't think it's going to help you to try and fit into a mold that you see other people doing. I just don't think that's going to work. And social media only helps so far. Social media really doesn't sell books. Honestly, it just doesn't. We have to have a little bit of a presence, but it's really not the thing that sells books. You need a deeper, more strategic plan, and you can come up with one that fits exactly you, Cynthia. Yeah, you do. You
And
let yourself off the hook with the social media.
I also am taking from this that it's not, I mean, when you say it's a marathon, right? That
Mhm.
I'm thinking a marathon maybe was a year.
No.
Now you're really resetting my thinking about marketing my book because I really believe in my book. Um, and I I think and I am at a point where this is perfect, what I'm learning. This
Oh,
is
Cynthia, we'd love to have you because you can you can create you can create a plan to continue to sell your book and market your book and reach more audiences that absolutely fits with you. But I'm so thrilled to hear, Cynthia, that you shifted your mindset around the timing of this because it it is a long game.
yeah.
Publishing is a very long game. And if then let yourself off the hook for having to get everything done right away. First of all, it's not humanly possible. And secondly, a lot of this requires deep consideration of what your readers need, where they hang out, what's going to work for you, what lights you up. And until you get that sorted, you're just kind of out there trying to do stuff everybody else does.
But one of the things that I took from your book, and why I really feel that my book is really good for my audience, was to really focus on that audience and do that really deep thinking. What's the promise to them? What's the takeaway for them? I
Love
mean,
it.
that kind of thinking, that kind of thinking makes me, I want to help parents like me who never wished for a child with disabilities and turned out it's not the end of the world. You can turn it around. Your child can have a wonderful life. And I really want to convey that message. This is the book I wish I had had. So, um, so I think I've done all that thinking, and right now the marketing part of what I'm doing feels so superficial.
Yeah, I understand that.
Just replying to all these people who are replying to my posts and things like that. It doesn't feel it, it doesn't feel genuine and authentic the way my book is genuine and authentic.
Well, first of all, I love that you believe in your book so hardcore and that you've worked so hard to create a must read. So you are well poised to create a marketing plan that does make you feel excited. And your book deserves it. Your book deserves you feeling good about your book and good about marketing it and keeping the energy up for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you came. I'm so happy you came.
I am too.
Good. Laura, can you put the code for the early bird in the chat again for people and a link to the to sign up? I want to answer Dan's question, which is so the groups are for facilitators who help you reach primary readers. The percent is for those groups, but if the expectation is that those people will help facilitate getting others to read the book, then the percent number doesn't equal the number of people. The expectation Dan, is that so if it's pediatricians, that you can get 0.05% of pediatricians to recommend the book. So that would equal one, but to get one sale. Does that make sense? You want to come off mute?
So the expectation is that each facilitator gets one person to read.
Yes.
Huh. that feels like a pretty low expectation.
Yes, it
So
is.
let so
Yes,
let's say let
that's
right.
on
So
purpose, Dan.
okay,
The reason it's on purpose is it is hard to sell books. It's hard to get people to do it. I'm trying to get a number that starts to feel like I could do that versus a number that feels completely overwhelming because I know that people will quit on their book when they don't reach the numbers that they think that they should be getting. So I'm going to get as conservative as humanly possible and then probably cut that in half. That's my reasoning.
okay.
And I hope it's more.
It makes sense to me.
Okay,
I did
good.
have another question that I wrote earlier that might be towards Susie, which is that my sweet spot is teaching small classes for people to learn. And my concern about that is that small classes sounds like a really inefficient way to sell books. So how do I square that what I like and what would work for people isn't necessarily what would work well or certainly efficiently as a way to sell?
So tell me a little bit about your class. You like the small size because the curriculum design is better suited to a small group? Is that, or you
Yes, and
prefer the small group?
I prefer in general, pedagogically, uh, a seminar style allows for an interaction that allows for greater learning. I
Mhm.
like that style. I like the ability to interact with individuals rather than speaking to a large group lecture, which I've certainly done. I just don't like it as much. I don't think it's as effective.
So, is it possible, is your content sensitive in terms of confidentiality? Or if you were to, let's say, live stream some of your seminars, would that be possible? So that you would open up you would keep your cozy vibe, but you would also have the ability for other people to watch and learn.
Possibly. I think that it would potentially inhibit the discussion that would take place. And I wonder if the live streaming would really reach the people that are coming in from afar.
So you can play around with a couple of ideas. I would think about recording and then having that on your website. So, for example, I taught a master class recently and everybody loved it. And so, what I did was make it free as part of my toolkit, which is my opt in from my website. So now they get excerpts from my book, they get tools, they get this all kinds of worksheets and templates, and they also get this replay. So that expands to something I taught once, but now I'm opening it up to people who are coming to my website are already kind of pre-filtered. They're attracted there for a certain reason, and they will stumble upon this information, which is an opportunity for them to learn on their own timetable, their own schedule. So if and we'll see how that plays out. I just started the experiment, but I would kind of start playing around. I would even ask people who are in your seminar, who else should know about this? Who should be invited to the next one? Should we get a mailing list or a community going online that is for further discussion, or how else can we deepen the conversation? Um, and just, but again, guided by what you love and by how the curriculum design um, fosters the kind of results that you're looking for.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you.
We had a question from Lisa who asked about maybe attending the retreat um, after it happens, meaning watching the videos. Would there still be value? So much value. You can play along in your own time, follow along, and then you can come to the follow-up 45-minute call if you sign up for the early bird. plus get a half hour one-on-one with Sade, plus get me to audit your stuff. Honestly, those three things, even without the retreat, are an immense value. I honestly don't think I don't know, I'll do that audit thing again. Um, this is just something that I thought would be really valuable to everybody considering what we're all dealing with right now with respect to generative engine optimization, throwing all of our SEO efforts into the garbage, basically, and having to start over and think about that. So I'm very passionate about it. So I think even just the goodies alone are of thousands of dollars of value. And so I would absolutely, I know, Lisa, just when we figured out SEO, ugh, they just keep changing everything. Yeah, it's fascinating to see how different it is now. Because why does generative engine optimization matter? Because if people are primarily using ChatGPT or some other AI tool instead of Google, well, now you have to make sure that your book actually appears in the ChatGPT searches. Except that we are not writing our descriptions and our content for that purpose. And so our books might not actually be coming up as recommendations. And we're seeing that people are using overwhelmingly switching over to ChatGPT as a search engine and other related search engines. So I'm not an AI person. I'm not a supporter of AI. I don't want to use AI, but I can't ignore the fact that it exists when it comes to making sure my book is discovered. In the publishing industry, there's two ways we talk about selling books, people finding books. One is findability, and the other is discoverability. Findability is the first part of the audit, which is looking at your listings to make sure your metadata is actually working. And is your metadata consistent, which is something that actually is more of a problem than you would think. I've sat through more metadata seminars at Book Expo and other big industry events than I care to ever remember because it is mind-numbingly boring, but it is essential for how people find your book. If you mess it up, it can be hard for people to find it. On the flip side is discoverability. And that's the piece where, can people stumble on your book? Will it be recommended? It's everything from in person, where is it on the table at the store? Or to is it going to show up in ChatGPT? So these are important factors, and we can't just sort of put our book out there and hope everybody finds it. We have to be aware of these issues that most authors are not paying attention to simply because they don't know to pay attention to them. So I went off a little bit there, but I think that audit alone is super helpful. Susie, is there more that you would like to add before we close?
I would just like to add that one of those things that will help us with AI finding us, discovering us, is this cross fertilized authority slash platform that we've been talking about today. And Cynthia so beautifully and passionately spoke about her work. I can tell you she would be a hit on social media. A hit. Because most people are phoning it in. But in 2 seconds after she started speaking, we were just captivated with her. So if we take a built out platform that's in alignment with what we love, what lights us up, what we know will serve our readers and clients the best, and we align that authority with our passion and our energy, and we're strategic about deploying it, I can guarantee you that AI is going to find you because most people don't do all those things. And that's what AJ and I really want to take you through this process step by step so that you literally have a map at the end of the retreat and you know exactly what to do.
Yes. All right. So, listen, no matter what, whether you come to the retreat or not, I beg of you, to shift your thinking now away from not only arbitrary sales goals, but arbitrary techniques, arbitrary monetization strategies, and just take that all off the table and make everything about what matters to you and what matters to your readers. And you don't have to do things the way everybody else says you need to do them. Okay? Any success I've had in life, in my own business and with my own book, has been because I did it my own way. And most people have said to me, why are you doing it like that? That doesn't make sense. You should do X, Y, Z. And every time I have leaned in to what made sense to me, it has been a success. I've only recently started trusting that, honestly. I still fall victim to, well, everyone says this, right? Because we're always growing, so we're trying to get, expand something or try a new area, or maybe we're literally trying to grow a business. And so we're always going to fall prey to other people's, you must do this. I will tell you, both Susie and I will say you could do this. And you can decide for yourself. Thank you very much. Almost anything can be successful if you believe in it. All right, y'all. I'm so glad you came today. I hope we've given you a piece of value. And we'll send a recording out as soon as we have it available. It'll be later this week. All right? Thanks for coming, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.